in a sense that that person would not land to the place where he would have landed if he was not forewarned, if he was not counseled, if he was
Sure.
not advised. Maybe he would have ended up in danger. But now, because of the counsels which she would give, which are not herself, sometimes she would pray and God will show her the direction. I
Yes.
think she excelled in counseling. She's an excellent counselor.
That is very important. And you mentioned young people.
Yes.
She actually wrote messages to young people. And I wish that our youth, modern time
Modern
young
times, young
people,
people, yes.
or they call themselves postmodernists.
Postmodernism, that's the
It
fact.
doesn't
Yes,
matter
yes.
how you may call them.
Yes.
Would more read about what is essence in life, what God wants them to be involved with
Yes.
and all about.
Excellent. I think that book, particularly that book, is a whole counseling book.
Yeah.
Messages to young people. These are not just our own messages which is gone to the bedroom and cooked.
Yeah.
These are revelations on some dangers which can befall young people. These are messages on the effects of some choices they can make on this life.
Yeah.
She's warning them. She's advising them. A book which is 100 years old, but relevant, quite relevant even today, advising people on how to choose partners, life partners.
And that is so important.
That is so important today.
Yes.
Advising young people on courtship,
Yeah.
so important.
Yeah. Some young people are afraid to talk with their parents.
Yes, exactly.
But here in this book, actually, the parent, God is talking to them.
Yes.
And they can really find counsels for
Yes.
them today.
I think looking at the servant of God, Ellen G. White, I would say that just like the biblical prophets, there's nothing which God has withheld to his people. And that's why Ellen G. White had to come, that's why the prophets came. God foresaw the dangers would be present, but he never left us as childless people, as orphans. He gave us what we need, the message. In the writings, in the speeches she made, these were counsels which would guide us to make it even through postmodernism,
Yes.
through the 21st century. It will come and go, but for anybody, young or old, who gets these counsels, raise them, digest them, hold them dear, they're going to survive.
And try
They'll
to
make it.
understand what she was writing
That's very,
then.
that's
and
very important.
try to understand the setting and apply
Yeah,
today.
and apply today. Because
Yes.
failure to apply, just taking it the way she wrote then and just applying today, somebody can fall into some mistakes of
Yeah.
misquoting her,
Yeah.
misapplying her message. We need to read it. It was applicable then, very relevant then. If we apply it dually today, using all criterion of reading the Spirit of Prophecy messages, I think we'll be on the right footing.
And actually, Pastor, you are inviting our viewers
Yes.
to watch our next programs because we'll be talking about this
Sure.
interpretation of her writings.
Interpretation of writing. Thank you so much.
So, what she wrote then in
18.
starting from 1840s
Yes,
until
up to
1915.
1915.
Yes,
Yes.
it's applicable to us today.
Very applicable. I think when we get to learn the principles of interpreting our messages, we'll be on the right footing. We'll be reading our messages, applying them for the 21st Christian century, and it will be very relevant, very important.
So Ellen G. White was not only a woman who just had a family and all this stuff, but she was used by God as a prophetess, as the counselor,
Sure.
as a speaker, as the writer, and her messages are so relevant to us today, in spite of the place
In
or
spite
time
of the space,
we live
time,
today.
yes.
Okay, Pastor, as we are concluding this episode,
Sure.
do you have something to tell to the viewers?
Sure.
Something, the final word.
Sure. I think it's quite important looking at Ellen G. White as a speaker and as a counselor. There's one thing which amazed me and which I would encourage each one of us as Christians, mostly to our viewers. Ellen G. White was just a normal young lady, poor, timid. But the moment she decided to say that I am available for God's service, God gave her the ability. The moment we are going to accept that we are available, not that we are able, we are available, God gives us the ability. God gives us the ability to do things which are more than we can imagine. Ellen G. White, I think, at 17 years would not have imagined that she would do and accomplish all that which she accomplished. But many years later, I think reflecting and looking back with what she was able to do, to speak, the congregation she was able to speak to, learned people, educated people who were amazed. Where did this young girl go to school? Where was she educated? They were amazed. So if today our young people, old, young, ladies, men, children, whichever age set,
Yes.
if we would say that we are available for God's service, God will give us the ability to do much more than we have ever imagined.
Thank you so much, Pastor. We're so glad
Thank
that
you
you
so much.
discussed this beautiful topic.
Thank you so much.
And by the way, before we part, Ellen G. White ministered for 70 long years
70 long years
in ministry.
in ministry.
And God still used her.
God still
so
used her.
God can use each one of us.
Sure, I can.
Be encouraged and look for help from God.